Before we start, let us see public knowledge about what is NPM.
Cik tahu tak tentang New Public Management?
Tak tahu lah.
Tak tahu? Hai Cik, sorry ganggu. Saya ada soalan. Encik tahu tak tentang New Public Management?
Tak pasti lah.
Puan tanya, boleh saya tahu, awak tahu tak tentang NPM, New Public Management?
The emergence of the new public management in the 1980s opened a new chapter of the public sectors, recognized as the public sector reform, marking a paradigmatic break from the traditional public administration model. To be more understanding, the basic explanation behind the establishments of NPM is to perceive the weaknesses or failures of TPM, as well as to limit the scope and functions of the public servant, to shift the resources and services from the public sector to the private sector, and restructuring the public service business management in the country. Besides, the NPM model served as the most prevalent and influential paradigm in the public administration discipline, as the NPM features show a marked contrast with the traditional models of administration. Meanwhile, the implementations of NPM philosophies in technique in Malaysia has developed since 1980s. Aligned with the NPM principle, the transformations of the public sectors, once considered the engines of the country economic growth, has shifted as facilitator to the private sectors and service provider to the citizen. To sum up, the implementations of NPM has a significant impact on the public administration management system globally, including in Malaysia. This is because this system has become more efficient and modern, and it has contributed to reducing government expenditure in the public sector. Under the NPM paradigm, the futures of public sector is becoming more stable and the economic growth of the countries is increasing.
New Public Management or NPM emerged in the 20th century as a response to perceived inefficiencies in traditional public administration or TPM. Departing from bureaucratic norms, NPM integrates private sector concepts to enhance government effectiveness, responsiveness and accountability. The core idea is that infusing market principles into the public sector can improve efficiency without compromising other objectives. In Malaysia, NPM has been a guiding ideology since the 1980s, transforming the government's role from an economic growth engine to a service provider and facilitator for the private sector. This shift aligns with global managerialism trends, leading to substantial reforms in public bureaucracy. Embracing market forces, Malaysia emphasized pro-market principles like productivity and cost effectiveness. The country's ongoing reforms, driven by initiatives like the National Development Policy or NDP and also Vision 2020, reflect a commitment to becoming a developed nation. While the Malaysian government has not formally declared adherence to NPM, it's evident that various public management changes align with NPM principles. These changes aim to make the government more dynamic, market-driven, and customer-focused, emphasizing quality, productivity, accountability, and customer satisfaction. Overall, Malaysia's reform position it to stay competitive and relevant in a rapidly evolving local and global context.
Hi, Assalamualaikum Cik Nabil Mufti. ROHMANI is here. How are you?
Waalaikumsalam. Hai Rohmani. Alhamdulillah. Good.
I'm a student from UiT Amsterdam 3 and currently doing a report regarding the public service reform for the new public management. So, Encik Nabil, as the public servant, do you know what is new public management?
New public management is an approach for to running a public service organization used in the government agency and the public service. New public management is generally seen as an approach in the public administration that applies knowledge and experience gained in the world of management of the other disciplines to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the public service performance in the modern bureaucracy. So it's simple. The public management emerged to replace the traditional model of the public management during the 1980s and the 1990s in the response to the inadequacy of the traditional model. So, there are new things that had been brought up by the government to fix what is lack in the traditional model.
Okay, Cik Nabil, what a nice explanation. Nabil, I'm just wondering, what are the symptoms or the indications of the issues? Just like you know, NPM, the new public management, replaced the TPM, traditional public management, for several issues, right?
That's right. The issue here, about the public service reform as a response to the dynamic nature of the societal expectation, economic shift, and the technology investment. What I can see is there are several incidents that I can highlight here. First is regarding the bad image of services in the public sector organization. People complaining when the public servant or the officer can't do well in their job. So this happened at that time. Traditional public management rooted in the bureaucratic principle have been criticized from the several reasons that they contribute to the perception of unproductivity, inefficiency, low quality, and lack of innovation or creativity among the employees. Even though the development of the classical model of administrations owe much to administrative traditional, but still there are recent critics see it as all outmoded, inefficient. So it is crucial to note that not all employees in the traditional public management are considered unproductivity. However, some characteristics traditional public management can contribute to the perception of lower productivity. One of the reasons was because of the bureaucratic red tape. It will be affect the employees that may find themselves intangible in the administrative procedure, which can be perceived unproductive. For the second symptom, I can explain here, there was a traditional public administration concept which is dominate the public administration structure between the year of 1870 and 1970, has been exposed to the serious criticism, especially in the recent year, due to the inability of the public to meet the expectation of the public institution. Somehow it can slower the economic growth during the period characterized by traditional public management can be attributed to a variety of the factors inherent in the bureaucratic system. So, Rohmani, not to forget about the limited accountability and the transparency. Because a bureaucratic system may lack of a mechanism for accountability and the transparency. Without the clear accountability, there can be higher risk of the corruption and misuse of resource hindering the economic growth. Lastly, the inefficiency in the government operation during the traditional public management is a common criticism associated with the bureaucratic structure. This happened due to the insufficient use of technology. So, when all of this happened, the citizen wanted something different. That's why the government changed the traditional model into the NPM, into the new one. The movement, just because of the strong critique direct the public sector organization that lead to a movement or to reform the public sector management.
As we know, traditional public management really emphasized on the principles of Max Weber bureaucratic model, which include features such as hierarchical structures, division of labor, strict rules, procedures, and impersonal relationships. So, the first factor of this issue is bureaucratic rigidity. Bureaucratic rigidity refers to the inflexibility and strict adherence to rules, procedures, and hierarchical structures within a bureaucratic system. While bureaucratic structures are designed to provide stability and order, excessive rigidity can hinder an organization's ability to adapt to changing circumstances and respond effectively to new challenges. Here are some key aspects of bureaucratic rigidity along with an example. Strict adherence to rules and procedures. Bureaucracy are characterized by a set of formalized rules and procedures that guide decision making and behavior. While these rules provide consistency and fairness, strict adherence without flexibility can lead to rigidity. For example, a government has a policy that requires all employees to follow a specific procurement process for purchasing supplies. If a more efficient or cost-effective methods become available, but it deviates from the established process, the bureaucracy rigid adherence to rules may prevent the adoption of the new approach. The second factor is resistance to change. Resistance to change is a common challenge in every organization, including those that adhere to traditional public management models. It refers to the reluctance or opposition by individual or groups within an organization to embrace or accept change to existing process, structures or policies. There are various reasons why people resist to change, and understanding that reason is crucial for effective change management. Here are some common factors contributing to resistance to change, along with an example. Fear of the unknown. People may resist to change because they fear that the uncertainty that comes with it. They might be comfortable with the current state of affairs and worry about how the proposed change will impact their roles of the organization as a whole. For example, a government department introducing a new digital system for processing applications may face resistance from employees who are unfamiliar with the technology and are anxious about potential job role changes.
One notable flaw in the traditional public administration TPA framework is the lack of accountability. TPA frequently lacks procedures to guarantee accountability and transparency because of its inflexible bureaucratic procedures and hierarchical organizational structures. Traditional administrative systems typically have a centralized decision-making structure, which is one of the main causes of this lack of accountability. For instance, it might be difficult to hold people accountable for their decisions and action when authority is centralized at the top of the organization. This can lead to a culture of inefficiency and accountability issues. As a result, public servants will not feel pressured to defend their choices or think through the implications of their acts by making their work easier. Performance measurement is therefore an essential instrument for assessing the success and efficiency of public services and programs. According to Nabiha and Daniela in 2011, it has been suggested that performance measurement systems are a tool that should be utilized to guarantee more accountability, since accountability necessitates openness, transparency, information, and the acceptance of responsibility for one's action. In addition to undermining the public's trust in government performance, the lack of accountability procedures interferes with the growth of a flexible and responsive government that can meet the demands of a constantly growing population. Therefore, the application of NPM techniques is risky and might not yield positive result in the government system has not yet attained the accountability threshold.
Welcome everyone to our forum on ways of addressing issues or problems of new public management. Let me introduce myself. My name is SYAZA and I am the moderator of this forum. We also have a representative from a public sector employee, Mrs. ASYIQIN, and Mrs. FATIN as an academic expert. Before we begin, could you start, Ms. ASYIQIN, could you start by explaining the benefits you see in the new public management approach?
Before we begin, let me explain a little bit about KPI, which is a key performance indicators. As we all know, KPIs are essential tools within NPM to measure and assess the performance of public organizations. They also provide a transparent and objective way to evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of the public services. Apart from that, so it is crucial to align KPIs with the overall goals of public organization. Clear communication involving employees in the process and setting realistic targets are key to ensure that the KPIs contribute positively to performance without creating undue stress.
Ms. FATIN, what can you suggest based on that has been explained by Ms. ASYIQIN from your point of view as an academic expert?
Absolutely. Continuous evaluation and refinements of KPIs, considering feedback from both employees and the public, are crucial to ensure that performance measurement contribute positively to the overall goals of NPM. Ms. ASYIQIN, are there any more ways to ensure NPM can contribute efficiency in the public sector?
Yes. So, from my perspective as a public sector employee, I can see that the existence of privatization policy has reduced the size of the public sector. So, the existence of privatization policy has been a significant factor in the reduction of the size of the public sector. Privatization, broadly defined as the transfer of government-owned assets, functions or services to the private sector, has been implemented by government worldwide with the aim of achieving various objectives, including increasing efficiency, reducing costs, and fostering competition. So we can take the example from the privatization policy, particularly through public-private partnership, which is PPP, involve private sector participation in the financing, design, construction, operation, and maintenance of public infrastructure projects. So this model allows government to leverage private capital and expertise, reducing the need for direct public investment and personnel.
Thank you for both of your insights. Miss IRDINA, how do you respond to this suggestion from Miss ASYIQIN?
I think what has been mentioned by Ms. ASYIQIN is more than enough for us to understand the ways to address the issue related to NPM. To add more on the ways to address the issue, can we decentralize the public sector, Ms. ASYIQIN?
Yes, that's right. As we all know, cost-cutting and decentralization are two key elements often associated with the new public management approach. So NPM is a set of principles and strategies aimed at improving the efficiency and effectiveness of public sector organization by drawing inspiration from private sector management practices. So the concept of cost-cutting and decentralization within the NPM framework are interrelated strategies to enhance organizational performance. So decentralization also aims to make public organization more flexible and responsive to the diverse needs of their constituents. So by allowing this decision-making authority to be closer to the point of service delivery, organization can adapt more quickly to changing circumstances.
To conclude, the comparison between TPA and NPM provides clarity on how governance paradigm change throughout time. The bureaucratic procedures and hierarchical structures of traditional public administration have made it difficult for it to adjust to the demands and complexity of contemporary society. The introduction of NPM, which is distinguished by a management and result-driven methodology, signifies a paradigm change in favor of adaptability, effectiveness, and emphasis on measurable outcomes. Governments can promote a more accountable, flexible, and efficient administrative framework that better serve the changing needs of society and enhance socio-economic development by recognizing the shortcomings of TPA and implementing the principles of new public management.